Well, hello friends, and happy Friday to you. We got about 3 minutes until we're gonna get going in the live stream today. Thanks for hopping in. I see you guys joining from all over the place, and yeah, from Tennessee to Michigan, everywhere. And as Isaac says, excited for Shep today. Yes, if you didn't know, Stephen Sheppard from Elevation is joining us here on the live stream today. And it's gonna be a great time, always fun. So if you guys have any specific questions that you want us to try and hit later on in the live stream, you can go ahead and drop those in the chat today. Got just a couple minutes left, and we're gonna be jumping into some live stream reviews. There's still time for you to submit that live stream if you want to try and get on the docket. The 3 for us to review with Shep have already been chosen, but I can be bought for hour number 2. If you purchase a fast pass to the front of the line, you can skip all of those little peasants that have submitted the Google form already, because I gotta feed my family, so come on with it, you know? And it's gonna be a great day. We got about a minute left, and then we'll hop into the live stream. It's gonna be fun. Share it, hit the like button. Come on, fellas, it's gonna be good. Well, welcome back to another Friday live stream session. I'm excited to hop into some live stream reviews with you guys, talk about all things church technology, and just chat with you and see how you guys are doing, see how we can help each other. You know, these live streams are all about like us coming together wherever you're at, wherever God's got you placed in the world, serving, to iron sharpening iron kind of thing, you know? I do not have all the answers, and I need you guys a lot of times. I'm sending you DMs and all kinds of things, and selfishly, you know, I get to bring on experts onto these live streams now and just glean from their wisdom. And so it's great because not only do I get to learn, but then all of us get to learn, and that's the great thing. So I'm curious how your week has been, how 2025 is treating you. Man, it's been a lot of fun, even in this last week for us. You know, we are under construction here at the church, and so the construction is real, and it's a little like, wow, okay, this is really happening. I've got to figure out, make sure everything is happening the way it should be happening. So this is pretty much the status of our worship center currently. You know, they're hanging light bars and rigging stuff for LED walls and all that kind of stuff. And speaking of LED walls, somebody asked in the chat, I believe, let me see if I can find this. Who said that? Somebody asked. Yeah, Caleb asked, how was the LED wall demo? Yeah, so yesterday, DC Pro, our integrators, and I went over and did some LED wall demos. You can see those smaller panels down in the front middle. Those are unilumen panels, which is what we're looking at. We had some 2.9s and 3.9s. 3.9's probably all we can afford for our wall. We'll see. But then a buddy of mine here in town, this is their space. And so their center screen is Thor 3.9. I don't know if they're Ridge or which one. They're not the 16:9 panels, but they're older and they've had them for a while. And then the top screens are 2.9 Revlux, which is a newer company that I guess it's making a lot of waves. And those looked great. And then they've got some TV screens that they're running off Pro Video Player, those 85-inch screens, which was kind of cool. I'd never seen that. But anyways, like, it was interesting to see them head to head. And then we also put them in our little youth space with our small wall, which is a 2.5, but it's a more budget-friendly wall. It still looks great in our space, but these panels are on a different level. So I was very impressed and like did a bunch of on-camera tests and didn't really notice a bunch of differences of like, oh, these have scan lines at this frame rate or anything like that. So just looking at like Moray from 3.9 to 2.9 versus 2.5 and all these different things. So that was a fun kind of piece of the process as we continue. The last 2 Sundays, we actually introduced our first original song here at Central that our team, we've been writing together. And so we introduced a song called King of Heaven. And that's been a fun like thing that we've begun to lean into in 2025 is introducing music that like our team has been working on, like sitting down together with our musicians and coming up with parts and like really just like the discipleship process of writing together and like what's God been teaching you through the word and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're not trying to write the next worship banger. It's just like, this is a healthy thing for our church and a healthy thing for our team to kind of like try and be creative with. And so I don't know if that's something you guys do. Like if you have any tips for me for co-writes or, things I should be thinking through, I'm definitely all ears. I've done a lot of research and talked to a lot of people about that. And then it was finally like, we just need to start doing this. We just need to start writing together. And so over the last year, we've done that. And so we're excited to keep like introducing some of this new music and I don't know, just see what God does with it. Anyways, that's kind of how my 2025 is going. And I hope that you guys are having a great one so far. Before we introduce our guests, I just want to double check our chat and see how everybody is doing. And guess what? It looks like we've got a new viewer in the house. He's in the chat. He's here, and he's not. Oh, he's explaining to you guys. If you're new, you got to subscribe. That's the rules around here. You don't get to chat unless you're a sub for 1 minute. It's a selfish way for me to gain subscribers because I think if you like this live stream, you're going to like more of the content on the channel. We're always putting out great stuff. I'll tell you about a really cool video that's dropping on Monday that I'm really excited about. So, without further ado, I would love to bring in the one, the only, Stephen Sheppard. We got to give him the air horn. And the little Michael Scott, thank you. He's looking good. How's it going, Shep?
What's up? How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for hopping on the live stream again. This is the second time. I think you may be you're my first repeat guest.
Let's go. Let's go. W's in the chat. W's in the chat. To be the first is something. If you ain't first, you're last.
That's right. Yep, that's so true.
Take that, Chad Vegas.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby says. Oh man. Hey, dude, introduce yourself to everybody. If there's a random person that's hopping on the channel for some reason doesn't know who you are, can you just kind of let them know where you're at and where you're serving?
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, chat? Good to see you guys. Pumped to be here. Kyle, what's up, my dude? I know Kyle.
Nice.
Yes, my name is Stephen Sheppard. I'm the broadcast engineer at Elevation Church, which basically means that I oversee all of the production audio, video, lighting, technology. Essentially, my job is to make sure the building works, the technology works, the sermon gets preached, the worship is heard. I don't do all those things, but I do make sure that it works. So, and I have a team around me who are absolutely phenomenal at what they do. And I'm kind of like the oil to the engine. Like the engine's got all the different parts and pieces. I'm just making sure that this thing's running healthily and everybody's happy. And it's, that's the best analogy I can come up with. I'm oil.
That's awesome. What's your favorite part of your job? And then what's your least favorite part? We've all got, there's parts of our job that we don't like too. So.
Yeah, always. There's my favorite part. Well, if you don't know, I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so I actually started attending Elevation when I was 12 years old. So my favorite part actually is just the fact that like it's my home church. I love serving here, being here. I just so happen to be lucky and I'm on staff here. But to me, the thing I love the most is our volunteers and just the culture that we have to like have people contributing and serving. Because without that, I wouldn't be here. Without those opportunities and without people pouring into me. So it's really, really cool that I now kind of get to do that. So honestly, that's my favorite part. Like I love people. I love our volunteers. The hardest part or the worst part of my job. Well, there's a wee bit of anxiety that comes with it, just a wee bit, nothing crazy. But there's always like, I would say the intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts to me are the thing that is probably the worst because everyone has those days or those Saturday night sleeps where you're just like, dude, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. There's, every single one of us has experienced those Saturday night anxieties. And so I don't know, it's probably that, but also, I think that's probably the key
tough.
Is that. So
yeah, I can't even imagine the nightmares you have. My recurring nightmare is the countdown is ending. Like it's like 10, 9, 8, and then everything has broken. And I'm like scurrying around trying to like fix things and resolder something and like, or it's just like everything is breaking and that's my nightmare. Do you ever have that nightmare?
Yeah, mine would definitely be like a power outage. Like that to me would be the craziest kind of like, well, and it's happened before, so it's not necessarily a nightmare. It's more like one of those, hey, please don't happen again. Anything that would like detrimentally prevent us from going live, I think is ultimately my nightmare. Or sleeping in. I know every single one of us has had like, you wake up on Sunday morning and the first thing you see is daylight. You're cooked. You are absolutely cooked. Like that is gonna be the worst day ever. You're like,
is it Sunday?
No. Dude. That by far is probably one of the worst feelings on Sunday morning. Like your phone's blowing up or your phone died because you forgot to charge it. And then there's just daylight coming into your bedroom and you're like, that would be it. That would definitely be it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh gosh. Well, you guys drop in the chat. What is the worst part of your job or maybe a nightmare you have? My least favorite part of my job is doing my visa bill, my expense report.
Talk about it. Dang.
I don't, it's easy. I just hate it. I'm just not that guy. That's not the way I'm wired. I don't want to sit down and print off receipts and,
sometimes I make conscious decisions. I make conscious decisions not to purchase things just so that I don't have to do the credit card report.
I know. And like, why are all the recurring subscriptions on my Visa? Like this.
Yeah, I have that on someone else's. And so every time I like approve, because I have to approve my reports, credit card reports, I'm like, holy cow, man, I'm glad I'm not having to dig through all those receipts. No wonder it takes you so long to do your credit card report because you got 400 expenses on yours.
Absolutely. That's funny. All right, man. Well, I think I'd like to start off with another little game that we've played before called Guess the Tech. And so in this game, we just see how big of a techie my guest is, and if they can guess what is on the screen based on what used to be a silhouette. This time we're changing it up. We're going extreme close-ups for technology that Steven is familiar with. These aren't just random things. These are things that you've definitely utilized. And so you guys drop in the chat if you think you can beat him. Whenever you see this image, just give me some lightning fast typing and we'll see if you guys can beat it. All right, so we got, I don't know, just a few of these, not a ton. Let's jump into number one, Steven. Let's see if you can guess what this item is.
Yes, one of the best uses of so 2025, a lot of people are probably trying to start one of these, and this piece of technology, it's like a Jeopardy thing. What is a Rodecaster Pro?
Hey, he got it. Come on, there you go. Rodecaster Pro. And how do you guys utilize that one?
I actually haven't used it, which is so backwards. I should definitely use it. But they're fantastic for podcasts. Very, very simple. Are you using one right now?
No, I am using a Zoom L8. It's more analog style, but same idea.
Great. great.
I saw
yeah,
one of these in some podcast studio you guys were setting up.
Yeah, MXU. I was over at with the MXU boys, and they have Rodecaster Pro. I would say it's a pretty great staple for pretty much any podcast. Like, you've got all your mic inputs, you can do USB like inputs, you can there's vocal effects. It has like headphone outputs, so everyone can have headphones. It's kind of like an all-in-one like 4-channel. Well, I guess there's 6 channels on it, but you can do 4 like mics and all that kind of stuff. So it's honestly a really great piece of technology. I haven't even tried to live stream with it, but I know you can, and you can also record internally on it. So it like, you know, I've done my research because I've almost purchased it, but then I was thinking to myself, well, then I have to code this on my credit card report, so then I didn't.
Nice, absolutely. That's funny. All right, let's go to number 2 here. Let's see if you can guess what this is.
Okay, we got some sort of that's your beard, dude. That's a close-up of your beard. That's what I wish I could have, actually. Looks like it is definitely some sort of grill or windscreen cover. Let's go Shure SM7B just for funsies.
You were close on the windscreen.
Oh, nice. The windscreen, the DPA windscreen. Let's go. Yeah, go check out that video if you want more information on the DPA 6066. We did not use that windscreen. Our pastor hates the look of it, which honestly I don't blame him.
Thank you.
The windscreens, they look terrible. I wish they were like smaller, maybe more like, I don't know, not so just like Justin Bieber pop style.
They're huge, right?
Yeah, I get it. You have to have something that like, you know, deflects the wind, but I'm like, there's got to be a better way. I don't know.
Yeah,
be a better look for it.
Yeah, we don't ever rock the windscreen either. Like, mainly because our pastor just feels like it looks like I have a giant mole or something like gross out of my face.
Does your pastor have a beard?
He does.
Yeah, so I feel like if you have a beard, a nice beard, it'll catch, but then also you could maybe get away with it because of the beard, you know, hide it in the beard. But
yeah. All right, let's go on to this next one here. This one might be a little tougher for you. I don't know. You may not be as familiar.
Looking like another microphone of sorts. I feel like I just did a podcast on one of these. This is the Earthworks mic.
You got it. Earthworks icon.
Nice. The Earthworks icon. From what I was told, it's a very bougie microphone and that it's not necessary, but it sounded really great, and I like the sound of it. So
yeah, for sure.
Bougie or not, it's all about the sound, right?
What kind of mic are you using right now?
I'm on a SM7B.
Nice. Very nice.
SM7B into a Focusrite. Bada bing, bada boom.
Sweet. How about this one?
Okay. Looks like okay.
There's one key little element on the left side that you've talked about before.
The little flip switch, is that the little Shure pack that I'm looking at right now? Is that the little Shure ULXD or ADX1? Yeah, ADX1, nice. Yeah. I literally was like, that is a zoomed in version of something right there. Nice.
So are you guys using all Shure at broadcast location, or is it mixture?
Yeah, we got all the PSM 1000 packs and everything. I believe it's the PSM 1000. I'm not the audio guy. Let me call Justin. Hold on, let me FaceTime him. But yeah, mostly all Shure. We did rent Sennheiser, but yeah, everything else, mics, packs. For all of our microphones, it's all Shure, and then we use DPA capsules pretty much for everything, which is great.
Okay. All right, here's the last one. I don't know, you know, this was one we've used previously, and we'll see if you can get it. So we did throw a little silhouette on this one.
Yes, of course. This one's a good one. This one's my favorite. We actually got this back in June, but Mr. Spider Cam right there. Now it could be the Ross. There it is. Perfect. Dude, that is like how did you make that? You're an artist. You're an artiste. You got the little red weight on the back of it. What kind of camera is in that?
I don't even know.
There. You got like I actually looked this up. The lens is like a BL adapter, or what's that broadcast lens? It's like an adapter. Like, you know how you have EF, PL. What is that? It's like a BS or something like that. It's a very small sensor. I don't remember, but yeah, anyway, I looked it up the other day.
That's funny. All right, man, funny. You nailed it. Good job on Guess the Tech. You guys give it up for Shep.
Here we go. There we go.
I'm proud of you. Hey, that was great. All right, man, I think it's time for us to jump into some live stream reviews. You down for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so you guys can always still submit into that Google form that's in the description there. But we have 3 that are selected here, and we're going to jump into those. So let me just pull up my notes on this first one. This is just a little church called Shoreline. And so, we'll see if we can kind of help them out and give them some feedback on what they might be able to improve.
And some tips and tricks.
Yep, absolutely. So Shoreline, let's see about the equipment that they're using here. For video, they are using Canon C300s and C500s.
Shout out James Liu.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for audio, they're running everything through Pro Tools. And I think, their biggest pain point or question that they have is just talking about, like, is this live stream actually engaging for the viewer? And so, that's maybe something we can talk about a little bit later. But let's watch a little bit of Shoreline. And you guys chime in the chat and let us know what you think here.
Somebody give God a shout of praise. I need somebody to say, Yahweh, we love you. Come on, sing it loud. Say, Yahweh, we love you. There's a part in the song that goes, Yahweh, we love you. Yahweh, we love you. You say, come on. Yahweh, we love you. Sing it again. Sing Yahweh.
Some pretty good audience miking right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more time, say Yahweh. Yahweh. Let's go, church. Let's go. Everybody come on. Whoa.
Oh, that was a slider. They got me.
Yahweh, Yahweh. Mighty warrior, sovereign king, you in every battle, even in the shadow. Gentle father, rich in love, you call the orphan, double their portion. Roaring water, rushing, running like a fountain, moving every mountain. Great Jehovah, Alpha and Omega, only way maker. Come on, onto the great I am, with everything I have. Onto the great I am, I'm singing how great is your name. Onto the great I am, with everything I have. Onto the great I am, I'm singing how great is your name.
All right, Shep, we're going to let it keep playing, but
Do it.
what are you thinking?
Yeah, what's up, Luke? Luke's in the chat. That's my boy.
Nice.
Yeah, it's as far as engaging, I mean, I feel like I feel drawn in. I feel like it's very colorful. I know that room is also white, and so that's kind of like the thing is like the room is white, and then you just kind of like pump light and color and everything into it. Yeah, overall off the rip, I'm like, man, it feels really good. You see all the crowd shots and everything like that. I would ask like, are those crowd shots going in the room? I think I've seen that so many different times. Is like where a lot of people will put the crowd shots in the room. And to me, I think it's a preference thing. I don't feel like it's a standard, but like preferentially, I don't want to see myself worshiping on the screen. So if they're not doing that, awesome. If they are doing that, well, that's okay if that's what they want. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, just for me, I feel like it takes you a little bit out. But I feel like as an online viewer, I'm like, oh, wow, that kind of like helps me be drawn in to what's going on in the room. I think some of the instrumentation shots, like adding some movement to some of those would be kind of dope and helpful. But then like as the song is building, like they're cutting to, and then it's like cutting from moving shots to like that still shot. I feel like that's almost like an attention grabber because I'm like, you see all this movement, and all of a sudden it's just like still, I mean, if you want to grab someone's attention, that's one way to do it, right? Is just to change up the flow and make people like kind of like stutter for a second and like, did they mean, see, like right there,
Yeah.
I'm like the lyrics on bottom, feeling nice. It sounds great.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm even seeing IMAG, at least at this event or I think this was like a night of worship maybe.
Okay.
It doesn't appear that there's IMAG that I've seen on any of the wide shots, but
yeah, I know their IMAG screens. They've got both. They've got 16:9 and 9x16 screens in that room. So there's kind of like they kind of have both of the things in there, but I would be curious to see how they're using it, like in a wide shot or something like that, for sure.
You guys, I'm seeing all these drum shots where they're trying to capture drums through the shield. I feel like that's a really common thing. Any tips for trying to get those drum shots either through the shield or around the shield, or what are y'all dealing with?
I think what we should start doing is just strapping a GoPro to the drummer's chest. Because honestly, like, dude, drummer POV, like, they're already moving so much, there would be so much energy to it. We do shy baffles. And so with the shy baffles, obviously you have more cymbal bleed everywhere, and not everyone can kind of afford to just have shy baffles because of how loud the drums are and how small some of the spaces are. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with you shooting through the drum shield. I would just make sure that drum shield is clean. Wipe that boy down once a week. You want every other week, but just make sure it's super squeaky clean. Either way, you're going to get reflections around it. I think Bethel does a great job because I believe they've got a drum cage. So I think as long as you're intentional with it, it'll work,
Yeah. Let's listen just a little bit more here.
Yeah.
There's no God like Jehovah. How great is your name? How great, how great, how great you are. How great is your name? Come on. How great, how great, how great you are. Here we go. Oh, praise the pride of Judah. Oh, praise the Lamb once slain. Yahweh, we love you. Yahweh, we love you. Oh, praise the Oh, praise the God who said, Yahweh, we love you. Yahweh, we love you. Your name is our salvation.
I mean, listen, when I pulled this up, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to tell these guys because this is stellar. The only thing I would say is your worship leader is only wearing one headphone. So, make sure you got both ears in, bed.
Throw your ears in. What's the purpose? You're a worship leader. What's the purpose? Why do you take one ear out?
Oh, you want to hear the room, and you don't have the audience mics up in your mix enough, and so when it gets to these moments where you're like, man, I want to experience this like with the people, and so you feel more, maybe you just feel too isolated, so you're taking that out. But I never, like, I've gotten to the point where I would kill my other ear. I'd crank it up so high, trying to stay with the click.
When you see your worship leader take their ear out, is that a cue for the monitor engineer to just automatically push some AR in their ears? You think?
What's AR? Audience response?
Audience response, or like crowd mics and stuff like that?
It could be. I mean, I think most churches don't have a monitor engineer. Most people have like little, Behringer P16s or something like that. True. So that's why I think a lot of vocalists just can't get past that, going from no audience to just total. So if you don't have audience mics, and sometimes that's just training with your people. And when you notice that they have that one out, like I've got one girl, she literally takes the headphone off of the thing so it doesn't no sound at all. Because I was like, listen, the click is coming out of your other ear. So she's like, I'll just take it off.
Just loud click in the house, especially when the song comes down. All you hear is just clicking. Someone, it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
What do you think about crops? What do you think about the crop on their video?
I mean, I'm a fan of crop. I'm not a fan of dual line lyrics on the crop. Maybe it feels a little like too much space there is being taken up. It just feels like the margin of that is a little weird to me. But obviously, sometimes quick songs, you got to have it.
Would you rather the lyrics go on the black bar of the crop or above over top of the video?
No, I like them on the black bar just because then you don't have to worry about like, oh, we had a white exposed shot and then now you can't see the lyrics. I think that's a great point of the black bar, other than just like making it feel more cinematic or whatever. That's the real reason why we started doing it, was to give a spot for our lyrics that didn't have to have like a shadow or something or a little box around it. Smart. I don't know. I wonder if at preach, if they probably don't have crop when they go to preach, I would assume.
Right, you just remove the crop whenever you go preaching and everything.
Yeah,
I always get I think it's an interesting topic when you talk about like how cinematic do you go, because it's almost like, I mean, I don't know, I don't even know how many YouTube videos that I watch where I'm like, oh yeah, that was like, I needed that crop on there. Like even movies, I don't even know, I don't pay attention that much, I guess, of like what crops on there. I don't know. It's just something I think about sometimes, is like, does that draw you in, seeing less of the of the sensor a little bit, or does it, kind of pull you out, or does it make
Yeah.
it feel too cinematic, like you're watching a movie? So I don't know.
Yeah,
You
you've
know?
seen those memes where it's like we're going ultra cinematic, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just a sliver of this for
Yeah, it's
worship,
like- They're just using like the middle, like 22% of the frame. We're gonna
Right.
do this. You just see the worship leader's eyes.
I should do a vlog like that, ultra cinematic worship.
Ultra. What's that? That's technically called anamorphic.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
do it anamorphic.
All right, speak to their question. Is it engaging? And I think that a follow-up question for that would be like, is engagement for us? Like, engagement is a measurement of success. It's like, what are your thoughts on like engagement for our broadcast, and what are you guys doing with that? And is what they're doing something that speaks to that?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the good thing about engagement technically is that it can be measured. Live viewership, how many people are pulling up on the stream, how many likes the stream is getting, how many shares the stream is getting. So technically, you can measure engagement. So if you're asking the question, what is like how engaging is our live stream, or what can be more engaging about it? Ultimately, I think the engagement factor of a live stream actually kind of comes from the chat. And to me, that would kind of be, especially when it comes to online, if people are in the chat talking, I guess if the chat's over here, chat's over there, either way, if people are in chat actually talking to each other, or like, saying amen and engaging, to me, that is like a good measurement of success, is like who is like actually like engaging in the chat. Now to like, from a cinematic point of view and like lighting and all that kind of stuff, is the live stream engaging? Absolutely. I mean, you just look at it. It looks great. It sounds great. There's nothing about it that disengages me from it or would be like, I want to turn this thing off. Ultimately, I think engagement comes from people's ability to be connected to the church and connected to people. Because if I actually care about the thing that I'm watching, if I actually care about the people who are involved in the thing that I'm watching, then I'm going to want to engage with it. I'm going to want to jump into chat. I'm going to want to talk to other people. And ultimately, I think that that's kind of like the driver. So as the people who are putting on these live streams, I would ask the question, like, how are we inviting our viewers to get engaged in the live stream? Because numbers, obviously live viewers, like you can look at this stream right now. How many live viewers do we have right now? And then versus how many people are in the chat talking. You got Isaac, you got DBI Pro, Caleb Rhodes, Scott, Peleli, Luke, Isaac, Dustin, like those are the people who are engaged in the live stream. And then again, there are maybe some people who just have their headphones on who are just listening to it or watching it. But does that make it more engaging or less engaging? I think ultimately, like, as long as you're putting out the product and fulfilling the vision and the mission that your pastor has for your live stream, then that is what you're that you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. But when it comes to engagement, I think it's also, there's another layer of having hosts, having people in the chat, making sure that the online hosts are communicating to the people to be engaged and to jump in. So I think there's a couple different layers to engagement, but I do like the fact that technically when it comes to a live stream, you can measure how engaged someone is.
Yeah, no, those are great thoughts, man. That's something that is a goal of ours this year, is to increase our engagement. And so like this last week, we tried something new, and we did a post-service Zoom group with trying to push people that are just spectators watching into engaging with our pastors. And even like the idea was like, okay, you know how like after a football game, the sideline reporter like grabs the players or grabs the coaches and like, let's talk about the game. And so this would be like, our pastor gets done, goes in 10 minutes later after service and jumps into the Zoom group and now is going through some of the sermon discussion questions, diving deeper. We're calling it the deep end, whatever.
Right.
And just trying to like get people from that spectator to engaged person. Because we have a lot of people that are there every week and in the chat with our chat hosts, but like, I just wonder, do they really feel that connection, and how long before they just check out?
Yeah.
And so it's a step we're trying to take. So we can talk more about that.
Right.
Yeah, man. Jump in the chat, guys. That's what it's all about. Engagement, baby. Let's go.
That's it. That's the key. Plug in the chat.
Well, Shoreline, great job. Like, you guys are killing it. I mean, as far as everything that we saw on the stream, I think it was a stellar job. So Yeah, let's go into our next live stream review. This one comes from Renaissance Church in Decatur, Illinois. They're rocking 2 Blackmagic Ultra HD studio cameras, one for the instruments and the other as close-ups. Then they have a Canon XF405 as a wide shot. And then a couple of Ursa Mini 4Ks on a jib and a drum cam. You know, they got some different cameras rocking there. For audio, they're doing a matrix from their front of house. And then a few channels are mixed separately. So let's just pull up Renaissance Church Decatur and give them a listen. Here we go.
Good morning, Renaissance. Welcome back. We're so glad you're here. Continue to stand with us, sing, declare together as a church what he's done for us, what he's delivered us from. Here we go.
Shadows in the night won't take away my joy. Steady is your love. In you I am secure. Driven by your heart, held in perfect grace. Whatever comes my way will never crush my praise. Even in the darkest valley, your peace is rushing through me. Even with the fire surrounding, I know that you stand with me. Even as the flames rise higher, I'm safe, I will not fear. I can hear your voice like thunder, my hope and my deliverance. Oh, you're my defender.
All right, that's Renaissance Church. Sheppard,
Yeah.
You got some thoughts for them?
Yeah, absolutely. One, great job. First
Yeah.
and foremost, I don't ever like to, I always like to hype the people up what they're doing. It's so dope. I love just seeing different expressions of the church. First and foremost, I feel like it's always so unique. The LED in the middle is pretty dope. I actually like that it's not just a 16:9 because everyone just likes to spam the 16:9. Or they like to do the LED backdrop, and it's just like, okay, can we do something fresh? So I like that they're trying stuff new. Lyrics in the bottom left, the lyrics, I would just make them a little bit smaller, to be honest. I feel like they're a little bit big. And then I would cut between the lyrics. I know it's something small, but if you're cutting your cameras, cut your lyrics. It's just, it kind of, to me, kind of all goes together. The color of everything, like adding, using color on all the fixtures, I would try to prioritize the use of the fixtures to brighten the room. Now, I don't know exactly how you can achieve this, but I do feel like if I'm an online viewer and we're trying to increase our online viewership, I would want to see the room a little bit more. Like in kind of comparison to Shoreline, everything is visible and everything you can like see, anyone and everyone in the room. I would probably try to prioritize that a little bit because ultimately, like what the cameras can see, the cameras can only see how much light is in the room. So even like some shots like this, like I would kind of prioritize either brightening, opening up those irises, ISOing up a touch or two if you have a little bit of that, maybe not too much digital gain, but maybe just a little bit, and then just trying to figure out, okay, how do we light this thing so that way camera coverage feels good and looks good, and then maybe try prioritizing that versus colored lights coming in, chasing, moving, all that kind of stuff. And I think sometimes less is more. And so sometimes when you're trying to, get the energy up and feel all that stuff, like they're doing a good job with the visuals. I like how the visuals are a lot of motion there. So, and it looks like they have plenty of fixtures. Like I see plenty of fixtures on the sides here, on the back,
Yeah.
and then front wash. So I would just look at lighting first and foremost. Like, as far as cameras go, they're capturing what you need to see. Make sure that with tracking worship leaders, maybe look at the tripod head for camera one. It looked like it was a little bit like they were trying to get things going right there at the very beginning. But if the worship leaders are moving pretty quickly, make sure you've got a tripod head that can kind of support that movement as well.
Yeah.
With fluidity and all that jazz.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is just some camera shake, and I'm sure that they're aware of it. It's just, I think that's something that immediately as a viewer kind of just distracts, And so if you can go ahead and separate your follow shots from, you know, your operator from the platform to the tripod to eliminate some of that camera shake.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's happening with like the kick drum or something like that, or if it's actually just an operator being connected to the platform.
Yeah.
You know, how do you guys have your platform set up at Elevation? Are they two
Yeah, so
separate
we-
things?
Our camera 1 is actually on about a 4-foot stage deck, and it is just like, if you saw that thing, you'd be like, yo, how does that thing not shake? But it's literally got like bracers on all 4 of the legs to try to keep it steady. But the camera 1 op, one knows that they got to be super, super steady. The camera 2 op stands on the floor while the camera is up on a deck. So there's not much movement to that. And then all the other cameras, for the most part, are on the ground and all that jazz. But with shake, one of the things you can do to kind of fix it a little bit is if you already know there's going to be some shake, if you kind of add that into the movement of your camera, you can kind of cover up if there's some shakiness and some extra movement going on. It looks like some of these cameras are even PTZs, so I would even, if you've got a PTZ, you know, set it on a nice little path, little pattern, have it, you know, kind of push in, pull out, you know, kind of do a little bit of a parallax and all that stuff. So, but camera shake is definitely something. It is a battle. It is a battle for sure. Gaff tape your tripod legs. We've done that before. You know, we've tried to do everything possible to kind of mitigate the amount of shake that's happening.
Yeah, it's tough. The other shot that I would say I would try to give some love to is your drum shot. It's super tight. You're trying to go over his left shoulder, probably just because he's in that cage, and you've got something there. Glad there's an angle there, but like if you can get a wider angle, a Marshall cam or something, a GoPro, where you can and just let in a lot more light. That's always a struggle in those drum shielded things, is like it's a cave because they're just not lit well. So maybe that would be even step one, is like just throw an LED light in there somehow to add some light so you can actually see when you go to those drum shots. Another thing I heard when we started this, let's see if I can go back to it here, was just like immediate compression. Let's turn this up and listen when the music starts.
Praise be to God. Amen.
Good morning, Renaissance.
Did you hear that?
Welcome back.
Yeah, that little kick.
Yeah, it was like as soon as the kick came in, everything kind of went, you know? And so I don't know if they're maybe a little too aggressive on your compression there. Yeah. I would say the band, like I'd never heard this first song that they were doing.
So glad you're here.
And I was like vibing with it. The band was great. Great instrumentation. I just wanted to feel those drums more and like that kick and snare more. And I don't know if it's just compressing it too much and burying it underneath the vocals maybe a little much. So this is the shot I'm talking about. Need some light in there.
Needs a little bit light. Yeah, like so honestly, like LED tape around the top of the drum cage. Honestly, it doesn't have to be anything crazy expensive or anything. Just like you might not even be able to see it with the LED tape, but like, you know, find a little cheap solution. As far as kick drums go, Brian Soto in the chat, he could fix your drum kick for you. He's one of our audio guys at Elevation. He knows what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, he was asking, who is Steven Sheppard? That's a deep question. That's a very deep question.
Yeah. Do we have enough time? Do we have enough time to get into that? That is so funny.
That's awesome.
But no, I like the energy. Like I feel like there's energy on stage. The band is bringing energy. It sounds good. The worship leaders are bringing energy. I think that the lighting overall, like even hair light, figuring out, okay, how do we light the band and light the vocalist from the back? That'll help them kind of separate them from the backdrop as well. Like you see a little bit on her, as the main worship leader, but then also like, you know, you just looking at each of the shots. So
yeah, and like I would watch like headroom and shots like this. If there's somebody behind somebody like that, do you worry about cutting off instrumentalists and stuff that are behind your main singer, like this kind of shot, or are you framing for front? How do you like to do that?
Yeah, I'd probably frame for the front. I would frame for the front. Like,
what about hands raising?
The foreground?
Do you care about getting a hand raised shot? That's our camera guys struggle with that.
As long as it's not distracting. I think that's the thing I always try to, like, some people like the hand raising shots, or like, you know, like shots of people who are worshiping. I think it just comes down to like does it work in our space, and can we make it feel not distracting? Like if you have to kind of question and be like, I don't know if I would do that, probably don't do it. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So
Well, good job, Renaissance Church. I hope that
Yeah.
something we said was of value and you guys can take it and, apply what you want to your live stream. I was going to ask you, Stephen, I've been seeing some of you guys from Elevation talk about ways that you're being inspired to continue to like always innovate and up your game with your broadcast.
Yeah.
And so I've seen examples. I think Joe has shared things that even in the secular broadcast world that you guys have found inspiration in. Like, can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately ideas are free, and I think we forget sometimes that coming up with something creatively or using our brain or honestly leaning into the Holy Spirit and asking God for ideas, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. And ultimately, I think that's one of the main areas we try to lean into is, okay, how can we consistently try to come up with something new, something fresh, something that doesn't feel the same over and over and over, but then also makes sense and helps us fulfill the vision of like our lead team, our pastor, and all that kind of stuff. And so ideas come from anywhere and everywhere. Every single one of us are going to be watching something on Sunday night, and that's the Super Bowl, right? Everyone's going to be watching the Chiefs and the Eagles play. So now I highly doubt many of us, even Elevation, are going to be doing what the Super Bowl halftime show is going to be doing. But, okay, what's one thing you could take from that? Be like, oh, I like that. I like this piece. I like that thing. How can we contextualize and use it? Because ultimately, that's where ideas come from. Ideas come from anywhere and everywhere, whether you're watching a movie, whether you're watching the news, whether you're watching a sports, cast or whatever. I think take ideas from anywhere and everywhere, whether you see things on Instagram or you post an idea. I would also encourage the opposite of getting an idea is sharing your ideas. And I think a lot of times people get very, very scared and nervous to share the idea that they have, but never discount the idea that you have, because ultimately, like as Christians, a lot of our creativity and a lot of the things that we do are promptings from the Holy Spirit and from our Christian walk. And so it's kind of like, okay, if God has given me an idea, maybe that idea that I've been given or, something that I've seen that I'm going to apply to my context could be super, super helpful for somebody else. So as far as it goes for us, it's all about like looking at what we are currently, what we watch every single day, gleaning from it, trying to contextualize it and then implementing it in a way that makes sense, that isn't crazy taxing of like, oh, let's throw up an LED wall here or do this there, and pull crazy amounts of hours. But ultimately, that's kind of like the thought process is always trying to make sure that things are fresh, new. We're coming up with ideas and not settling and not staying put with where we're at. Because that's the other piece that ties to engagement, is kind of trying to keep things fresh and new every week. Like imagine if your pastor preached the same exact message every single Sunday, right? At some point, people probably be like, hey man, are you going to do something different? Are you going to, preach on the other parts of the Bible or the other things? And I don't know, maybe he doesn't have to, but I think about it that way. If our pastors and our leadership are coming up with new things to talk about, coming up with new ways to present the gospel, coming up with new stories to tell and new sermons and all that kind of stuff, then I think we should follow suit and do the same thing.
I love that. Ideas are free, and we can learn and glean and be inspired by anything and then just apply it to our own setting. And one thing I think that we always have to realize is like there's 52 Sundays a year, and so you don't have to implement something immediately. Like you could stew on that for a little bit and then take a few weeks, and it doesn't have to be done this Sunday just because you got inspired. That's okay if you take your time, because like you say, like we don't want to kill ourselves trying to do something new and fresh just because it's new and fresh, but it's good to always be thinking and dreaming, like I always talk about like I want to feel contentment but not complacency, like God, I'm content with where you have me and what I have. Like I'm not going to blame the gear, I'm not going to blame the team that I don't have. Like God, you've got me here for a reason, but I'm also not complacent. Like I'm going to keep pushing for the kingdom, and give it all I got. So
it's great.
All right, man, let's run into our third review here. This one comes from BBSO. I'd never heard of this church. I believe this church is in Romania, but they are running with Sony FX30s, an A7S II, a Sony A6500, so kind of that Sony DSLR family of cameras. And then right now for audio, They're using something called a Yellowtech Puck 2 that's hooked up to their streaming PC that comes from their front of house board. I don't know what that is. A Yellowtech Puck 2.
I'm Googling it.
Okay, yeah. He says that their struggle is really mainly with lighting, and so just trying to figure out the best way to light the audience and get cohesive lighting throughout the room and that kind of stuff. So
Great.
let's give them a listen and watch here, and you guys jump in the chat if anything jumps out to you as we watch. All right, Shep, any thoughts for them?
I'm like taking note. Dude, I'm like, holy cow, this is awesome. Go off, Romania. You said Romania?
I think so. I just had to Google these like words and it said Romanians. I don't know.
Dude, go off, Romania. Actually, that is dope. Yeah, I think the lyrics are a little bit difficult to read in some of the with some of the shots. So just maybe like adding either like a little shadow or whatever behind it, but it looks awesome. Oh, there's Adonis. He's in the chat. He said that's my church, dude. Adonis, insane, awesome job.
Let's go.
I love the movement. Like,
yes.
To be honest, the vocalists are not moving a ton, and so the fact that like the cameras are doing a lot of the work to create the energy, and you've got sliders in the back, you've got focus poles. There's your drum shield. You know, your drum shield with the drums with the shield around it, shooting through it. And it just feels like the cameras are doing a lot of the work to create the energy, which is good. Like, that's a great thing, you know, because people ask all the time, like, my worship leaders don't move around. My worship leaders stand still. How do I create energy? How do I do this? And I think some of these are great examples of just consistent movement. That camera one shot, I would work on that figure 8 of just like very slowly, very subtly kind of like floating with the worship leader. So that way you've got all these moving cameras and then just like a still shot. I would kind of add some motion to that. But just overall, like, feels great. LED in the back. Like, it's not filling up the entire stage design, but it's very unique.
Yeah, actually, Shep, it was very interesting. During sermon, they do fill the whole back with the LED wall, and then it comes up for
shoot.
It comes up, so it's on motor, so that, you know, they're doing multiple things with it there, which is kind of cool. Have you guys ever done anything like that, or would that be too loud? I don't know.
We had a stage design a couple years ago where we had Sceptrons on winches, and we would drop the winches for the sermon, and so they would be basically up in the sky, and then it would just kind of create this nice, cool kind of like tiered system where it's just, you know, you got the black backdrop, which we would uplight or downlight, and then we would have the Sceptrons come in. I'm a big fan of dynamic stage designs, to be honest. Obviously there's a cost that kind of comes with that, but I think the dynamic ability of a stage design can really, really help things feel fresh if the budget is there. Now, it is definitely not a requirement by any needs. We also like transition stage decks on and off because of our choir. So a lot of times we'll have like a choir in the back on stage decks, and then once we clear the choir, we'll strike it and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes from worship to sermon, it does feel very different just because of the sheer amount of people.
Yeah.
But no, this feels dope, and it sounded really, really great.
It sounded great. I mean, and when you have that many vocalists on stage, I mean, a lot of times it ends up just being like they're there, but you don't really feel like they're in the mix. You know, you got your main singer, but I think they did a great job with that blend. I think the key lighting on everybody's skin tones looks stellar with as much color as in the background and on. I love some of the design on their sidewalls with that LED tape on whatever they've got going on their sidewalls with treatment or sound treatment or something. That stuff right there.
Yep.
That's pretty dope. So all that stuff, I mean, I think it looks and sounds great. I don't know if it's just my monitor or if was the Sony's, but like right here on her hands, you know, you've got some kind of, I don't know what's going on there,
like,
oversaturation or something.
Yeah, it's like a peaky, like what's it called? And it's
it looks like focus peaking
almost like clipping, like the colors clipping or something.
Yeah, and that may just be something with my setup if I go back and watch it on YouTube. But
Adonis said it's the A6500 with the Canon 24-70 on the piano.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a great example though of like these cameras that they're using are attainable. They're not these you know, insane C400s with servo $25,000 lenses. These are DSLR type cameras. Yeah. And they're making them work for their setting. I think it looks great. They're utilizing motion, and all of the cameras match really well, which I think you have to spend a little bit of time dialing those in, even in the same brand of, you know, family of cameras and stuff. But great work, you guys. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks really, really good. Feels really, really good.
All right, man. Let's you guys give it up in the chat for BBSO, and thank you to
shout out Adonis in the chat, dude. They're killing it. That's great.
Seriously. All right. I would like to just wrap up our time here, Shep, with something I'm going to be calling. It's a new segment, if you will.
Yes.
That we are going to be calling something that didn't show up because I have this in full screen.
Drum roll, please.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Yes. I'm about to have a 5-year-old, so I'm about to have to do a lot of this. He's actually only turning 4. Let me not get ahead of myself. My wife will kill me if she'll be like, no, he is 4, and do not let him grow up faster than he already is.
That's funny. All right, so I just thought this segment would be fun to think of tech stuff that I'm probably trying to wrap my mind around. And sometimes I just wish that, like, instead of me going down some thread or YouTube rabbit hole or having to watch a 30-minute video and then still being like, do I have to get Dante certified in 3 levels to understand what's happening here? Maybe Shep can just explain it to me.
6 levels,
no. The 6th level of hell of Dante. It makes sense, actually. So,
don't go to the 7th one. That's actually the worst one.
Okay. Well, so let's just start with that one. I mean, you're not maybe an audio guy, but you guys probably do tons of Dante stuff. Like, can you break it down for me? Why do I need Dante? What's the great thing about Dante? What is it?
Yeah, so essentially, Dante. Wow, this is gonna be so hard to a 5-year-old. Can you imagine I'm talking to my 5-year-old? A Dante network is basically when you take everything. You see this iPhone cable right here. You see this cable. Now, if you take this and you turn it into the air, that is basically what a Dante network does. Is it takes all your cables and turns it into the internet, aka a network. And it allows you to take that signal and send it anywhere and everywhere. This is so difficult. Explain it like to a 5-year-old. Holy cow. You know how airplanes have a bunch of people? Okay, this is it. You know how airplanes have a bunch of people in them? Basically, a Dante network is like taking an airplane, putting all of your audio sources on the inside of it, and taking it from one airport to the next very quickly and efficiently instead of having each person drive a car across the country.
Nice. Okay. And
that's it.
And now the plane tickets aren't free anymore, right? Like you have to pay for Dante travel on some levels of Dante.
You're paying for the plane ticket versus the rental car and the headaches of having to stop every 2 hours to go to the bathroom and let your kids run around. And so it's a little bit more of efficient travel. And you're able to kind of go further, faster, and to more places because you're in the air versus being on the ground.
That's good. All right, you can up the level to higher than 5 if you need to, but that was impressive. That was impressive. How about like a KVM? You know, these are big things that everybody's talking about. You need to get KVMs for your broadcast booth because it'll change your life.
Yeah. Budget said, "Does Dante give me free snacks?" Yes, only if you. They only have the Snickerdoodle cookies. They don't have any free drinks, unfortunately. Nice. No Diet Cokes. Okay, KVM. Keyboard, video, mouse, essentially kind of similar to a Dante network in a way, but KVM just allows you to have your physical hardware in another room or away from where you're currently at, and then you run one network cable. Essentially, you run all your connections into a KVM box, a transmitter, and a receiver, and you connect them via Cat5, which is basically a network cable. So for a lot of setups, it allows you to put your computer hardware, aka whatever, a server or computer, into a rack, and then you KVM to your workstation. So it helps clean up the workstation a ton, but then also if as an engineer, if I need to go fix something, I'm not like getting in people's way or having to get up underneath my tech booth and do all these things. I go to the rack where all of my computers are at. I can restart them. I can service them. I can troubleshoot them. So there's some practical things to it, but also the KVM. Different types of KVM also allow you to remote into multiple different workstations from the same spot. So say I'm sitting here and I've got 4 computers in my KVM system. I could sit here and use my keyboard and mouse to remote into each different one instantaneously versus having to stand up and go to the next station and stand up and go to the next station. So ultimately KVM helps optimize your workflow and optimize troubleshooting, in my opinion.
Josh says, imagine you put your keyboard on an airplane.
Yes, that is actually, yeah. So basically KVM is like putting your keyboard, video, mouse on an airplane and yeah, exactly. That was actually the craziest analogy. I don't even know how I just came up with the airplane analogy for Dante, but anyway.
Do you guys use a lot of KVMs? Do you have a standard one that you're putting in campuses and stuff?
We use Adder at all of our campuses. At Broadcast, we have Vertiv. To be completely honest, it's because the Life Church guys had Vertiv, and we were like, yes, we need that. So I do recommend do your own research before you just copy what someone else is doing, because majority of the time there are different, not necessarily better, but different products that may suit your needs. That is, that may not, what someone else has may not be what you need. So I would definitely do the research for yourself. Ask for a demo. Ask to kind of like, try it out before you buy it. So, because the Vertiv stuff is great. However, Vertiv does not actually, they don't specialize in KVM. They actually specialize in like thermonuclear something and backup power supplies and like huge media grade, server stuff. Okay. So when it comes to their KVM, that's not like their flagship product. So, and they'll tell you straight up, we have KVM systems, but it's not like our bread and butter. And so ultimately what I would recommend, we use Adder, and there's a couple other companies that I've heard of, but Adder's another great one. I would just go with the company that is like their bread and butter is KVM. Gotcha. Is my recommendation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and you don't always need a KVM. I mean, a lot of times I think it sounds cool, but maybe you don't even need one. You could probably get away without it. So,
and there's cheap ones on Amazon too that work just as good.
Absolutely. So. All right. How about time code?
Yes. Can you actually play that example that I sent you earlier? Dude, just imagine. Time code is so weird, and I'm gonna try to explain this because I don't even. Basically. And you'll probably be able to explain this better, but timecode is a protocol that essentially triggers allows different pieces of technology to talk to each other and trigger things over time code. And it's all based off of hours. So, for example, say you have you want something to be manually or to be automatically controlled by Ableton or by your, whatever system you're using for playback. You can use timecode to trigger ProPresenter, to trigger videos, to trigger different things based on the hour that you set it to. So I'm probably not explaining that the best way, but essentially timecode allows you to trigger multiple things at one time using this protocol that sounds like, if you literally go listen to timecode, it sounds like you're being abducted by aliens. It is the most ridiculous thing ever. But yeah, it's somehow it talks to technology.
Okay. So is timecode like, are all these timecode things and generators and stuff, is this like an atomic clock thing that they're basing it off of or something? Or I don't understand that part. Like, how are they all? I asked ChatGPT explain it to me like I'm 5, and it didn't really help me much. So.
It didn't?
No.
Okay, so essentially it is a device. Well, timecode is basically something that it just sends a signal. It's an audio track.
Okay.
It's an audio track marked with specific events in a recording.
And then you can gen lock them through timecode somehow? Oh, you disappeared.
Uh-oh, my camera died. But I'm still here, trust me. What the heck is going on here? That's all right, folks. Our time's up here today. Really appreciate you guys coming out. And make sure you guys like and subscribe if you haven't already. And you can catch me on Instagram. I'm starting to YouTube. Maybe one day I'll be as big as Ryland is, but
hey,
he's
back.
actually cooking. Oh, wow, look. Why did it die? My battery's literally at like...
Is it, does it HDMI get disabled after an hour or something like that?
Honestly, probably. I should have bought an FX30, not gonna lie. I got the Sony EV110. It's like one little dinker guy. And
you just blacked it out because you didn't want to talk about timecode anymore, did you?
That was it. I was like, dude, I can't talk about that. I can't stand timecode. Actually, I should just call Jared and tell him like, hey, Jared, can you talk about timecode? He's our timecode wizard. But essentially, like, okay, so here's how we use it. Let me just put it that way. That might be more helpful. We put it in Ableton, and we basically, per song, we set it to a different hour. So say song 1, or countdown, hour 1. Song 2, hour 2. Song 3, hour 3. And then basically we'll match that same thing. Internal temperature too high is what my camera's saying.
Oh.
Anyways, what we'll do...
Sony.
Yeah, no, what the heck? Okay, I'll let that turn off for a second. I'll just talk. We basically set it to an hour, and then we match that hour in Resolume or in ProPresenter or wherever else, and then that allows us to basically Ableton controls Resolume or controls ProPresenter. So if you want to time code your lyrics, you can. If you want to time code visuals, you can. If you want to time code videos, you can. So there's a lot of different ways to use time code, but just remember, never put time code in the house, ever.
I was doing my best to lip sync what you were saying.
Can they still hear me? I think they can hear me. They just can't see me, probably.
They can hear you. They cannot see you. Oh, man.
Man, I'm going to take this camera back because if it's got an overheating error, I've only been using it for like 10 minutes.
You got to get one of those external Ulanzi fans that you attach to the back of it.
Like a radiator. Like, imagine if I put like a radiator on it.
Absolutely. That's what it is, essentially.
Holy cow.
So... Oh, dude, this has been fun. This has been really, really helpful. And you guys in the chat, let me know, let Shep know, encourage him, like, for him taking some time on this Friday to jump in and review these live streams. I'm not going anywhere. We got like another hour coming where I'm going to try and do some rapid fire live streams and try to get through as many as we can. But, dude, I'm just thankful for you. I think,
yeah, man.
You know, your Instagram content, it's fun, but it's also educational and inspiring, and you know, there's always that little nuggets of stuff that keep us as creatives kind of like, okay, this is motivating but inspiring. So I just want to say, like, keep it up. You're doing great. You're doing great work.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, like I said, if you don't, like Ryland said, if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you do so. I'm trying to do YouTube stuff, dude. I'm not as creative, and I sometimes run out of time so often.
I found your old gaming channel.
So I started just like, I was like, I already have it. I have put like 2 videos on it, so I'm trying to add stuff to it. I still am a gamer. I really love gaming. I just go back and forth between, do I want to make gaming content or production content? And I think production will win out no matter what. But I'm trying to do some YouTube, a little bit of TikTok, but I got to take notes from you. We got to talk about it.
And you were kind of throwing shade at Best Buy, but your LinkedIn says you used to work there.
Yo, facts. I did. I was a mobile sales consultant at Best Buy. It just died during COVID. Like I remember, like I walked into the Best Buy over by my house the other day, or it was a couple months ago, and I literally was like, "Yo, this place is like empty. I guess they just want you to shop online." And then we go to the Best Buy in Knoxville with the MXU boys with Spencer, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, this place is alive and well." So maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe they're just shutting down different box
Locations.
stores and
Yeah.
things like that. But dude, honestly, that was one of the hardest jobs in my entire life. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Memorizing IMEI numbers and activation codes from Verizon and T-Mobile and all the other different spots, dude. Like I was like, there's no like it was harder than like production and tech is, and you have the potential to like lock someone out of their phone number forever. Like if you do one wrong thing, their number is cooked and their like plan is cooked, everything is ruined, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna put that on a employee who's making $14 an hour, and you just got to figure it out. I'm just like, sick, awesome, cool, dude. Like
It was preparing you for the pressures of elevation
Yeah,
broadcast. That's what
honestly.
it was doing.
yeah, honestly, yeah, trial by fire, exactly.
That's right.
So if you want to
That's why they
know what
hired
I
you.
do,
They
yeah,
were like,
yeah,
"Whoa, this guy survived
Oh,
Best
shoot.
Buy."
Yeah, Best Buy and GameStop. Technically, I worked at GameStop for a little bit too. It's on my LinkedIn. So,
Very
anyways,
nice.
dude, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate you. And yeah. Chat,
super
y'all make sure
fun.
y'all stay engaged. Y'all ask them some questions. Throw your live stream. Send them your live stream so we can do some reviews. But anything else?
That's it, bro. I appreciate you.
Cool. All right, man. We'll chat soon.
All right, we'll see you next time. Man, you guys give it up for Shep in the chat. That was awesome. Great convo, great thoughts, and just hearing from somebody who's an expert in our field that is really just giving great feedback and thoughts from his perspective. It's valuable, and I'm appreciative of him taking the time to come on. And just so you guys know, like, none of these guys who have been coming on the live streams are getting paid anything. They're just hopping on to give back to our community, and like, it's amazing. It's so cool. So really appreciative of him. And speaking of getting paid, I'm not getting paid anything to do these live streams. They are not sponsored as of now, but I am going to say that this one is kind of sponsored through my course, Next Level Live Streaming on a Budget. So I'll give you that little promo and take a drink, and then we'll jump into hour number 2. Here we go. Let's level up your live stream. Our church's live streams are the front door to our church, and I want to help you move your live stream viewers from spectators to participants. In this course, I'm going to share how we've grown our YouTube presence 236% in the last year. Maybe your church put together a system during the pandemic because you had to have some live streaming presence, and now you're ready to take it to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or you've been doing this for years, I believe this course will help you. A small investment in this course is going to help you level up your audio, video, and lighting for your live stream, but also help you to connect with those families on the other side of the screens. And it's all based around budget-friendly solutions. We want to be good stewards of our church's funds, and I believe investing a small amount in this course will pay off very big dividends for your church in your community. So come along and let's level up our live streams on a budget together. Man, that guy's a goober. But no, he's got a good course. I really do believe in the course that I've put out, and I hope that, it's been helpful to those of you who have purchased it. You can always grab it. It's on sale on my website, rylandrussell.com. And a lot of times, if you're a subscriber to the email list, we've done a few little sales throughout. It's $125 for the 18 modules, but every once in a while, I'll throw out like this last month, I had a little like, hey, it's my 4-year anniversary on YouTube. Let's do a little birthday sale, basically. And that goes out to the email subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to the email list, then go ahead and do that. Links in the description. All right. You guys ready for hour number 2? This is going to be fun. I'm going to go ahead and get some things pulled up and ready to go with some of these other live streams. So give me just a second here. I don't think I need ProPresenter anymore. Done with that. And just remember as I'm doing this that you can jump to the front of the line with a fastpass super chat. That will get you the first review. I do want to talk about some tech that I have seen recently that has been kind of like, you know, grabbing my attention. And so let me pull up that playlist in YouTube. Then we can jump into some stream reviews. DBI Pro, man, you are my chat ninja today. Appreciate you. Okay. All right, cool. Let's talk about some of this technology and stuff that I've seen that might be interesting to you guys. The first one was the P24 and P24 hub. Have you guys that are on Behringer Wing, has this been something that's interesting to you? The new P24 hub is kind of like a replacement for the P16s. I mean, it's not really, though. It's interesting because it only has, well, come on, there we go. Show it all, there you go. It has 12 sliders that you can control things with, but it's 24 channels. So you can do stereo group things, like say you had a left, right of your electric guitar. Well, now that's on one slider instead of 2 channels of your P16. So it's technically 24 channels, which is cool. But if you run a lot of mono channels, that slider controls the 2 channels and you pan between them to set the volume levels of them, how they balance. So that's kind of weird. But the hub is what's interesting to me, kind of, because if your wireless stuff is all in a rack backstage like ours is going to be, well then, come on bro, get to the hub. Then the hub allows you to really cleanly connect all of these things. And so you've got your hub here that would just connect with the stage connect to the wing. And then let's see if he shows those. Yeah, the TRS will go out to your wireless units. And what's cool is everybody can have these P24s on stage, and then that's speaking to the hub with just Cat 5 or Cat 6 or whatever. And then you don't have to have, like right now, all of our wireless units are right there next to our P16s because we come out of the P16 into the wireless. And if we didn't have something like this and we wanted P16 still, we'd have to have like giant return cables to get that back to the rack. And this would do it all over Cat 5. There's probably other ways to do it. I don't know. Is this interesting to you guys? Is the 12 sliders not enough? What about the sliders? They're not motorized. So, you know, is that something that would be kind of clunky? I like the idea of sliders, but then it's like another failure point that seems like it would break easier than just the knobs of the P16s. I think you can use P16s and these in tandem. These are only a couple $100, where like if you wanted to go Midas DP48 or whatever that thing is, that's like 600 or something. I'm just throwing out prices. But for us moving to the Wing ecosystem, I mean, from Midas M32, Behringer X32, it's definitely an interesting piece of gear. So that's just something that's on my radar. And then I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of extra time here to keep submitting your live streams, and we'll talk about these other things that I've seen. How about this PoE for your Stream Decks? This could be kind of a game changer. Basically, this eliminates the need for your Stream Decks to have a computer or a Raspberry Pi. So that little box will fit behind a XL Stream Deck, and then you just connect like you would with this, the new rack mount with PoE. Okay, there you can see it. So then the USB-C comes out of this little box into your Stream Deck. And so for me, it's kind of replacing like a Raspberry Pi basically. And this made me just think like you could essentially now have a Stream Deck mounted in a wall, like a wall mount Crestron QSys type panel, and control things from a wall mounted Stream Deck that's just receiving PoE to where it's at. That's low voltage, come through the wall, no big deal. And then you could control whatever you can control through Companion, you know? So I think it's not released until like later this year through Elgato, but it is interesting. Isaac says on the P24s, I think it'll be a net gain on channels for folks coming from P16. We're running P16s, but because of stereo channels and buses, we really only have like 8 channels. Yeah, so on those, if you have a lot of stereo channels, I think it definitely makes sense. Melvin, whoa, I got too many things on the screen here. Melvin, your question about free show, go check out Budget Church live streaming. Sorry, Josh, I always forget the way it's ordered. His channel, he's got a whole breakdown of free show. If you want to risk it on open source stuff, I think some people are having good luck. If you're just doing like images and lyrics and stuff, it's probably fine. You can also check out Presenter from Worship Tools. I think it's free still. Another thing that I was thinking about was this e-ink display for signage around the church. So what they're using it for here is it's just the battery on it can last up to 6 months, and it's a bitmap image that it can pull. And so what if you had these like at classrooms where you needed to update schedules or something like that, and somehow it was like linked into your planning center calendar, or I don't know, like maybe even it pulled somehow like like what vocalists you have and what mic they're on automatically, and you had this back at your mic station, and it was just a very automated way to pull that information that's a lot cheaper, I guess. So that was just a random thought I had. And then lastly, there's this Noxon arm, which is like $7,000, but it seemed pretty legit. It can do a lot of crazy stuff here. 6-axis movement to create complex cinema shots. Yeah, I think it's still kind of like in the backer phase, but what if you had one of these over by your drum setup, and instead of just, going around back and forth on a slider, it was able to do all this stuff for $7,000. Like, if you're a big church, that may be something you're interested in. Maybe. Okay. You guys ready to jump into our next hour of live stream reviews? Yeah, man, we still got 55 of y'all here. I think you're ready to go. Sorry if that clap was loud. Let's jump into it. All right, our first live stream review comes from Gateway Fellowship Church, Cooper Wickert. If you're in the chat, let me know. They're rocking 3 Panasonic AG CX350s and Marshall cams for stagnant shots. Then a Midas Pro 2 compact, sending to a back of house Midas Pro 2, and then sending out the front of house mix. So essentially the front of house mix. trying to get consistent audio. And I had just released a video on my channel about getting consistent in-room audio levels. I don't know if you guys checked that out or not, but there's a little app that we use to track and graph our SPL through an iPad app that has been really helpful. So you can check out that on the channel after this live stream. But let's check it out here. Gateway. Here we go. I will unmute you. Holy crap. I'm dead. Turn that down a little bit. I just had it up at normal volume. Okay, I'm going to turn it down a little bit and we'll just watch for a minute. Yeah, I think I'm seeing stuff on the screen that I was seeing on that pianist hand earlier. I think it's just maybe my output from my HDMI going into the ATEM that's doing something weird. So I don't think that's actually, I don't know if y'all are seeing that. Or it looks like false colors showing up on there or something. I don't know. It's weird. So let's just do kind of stream of consciousness review here. I'm going back to where it started here. I like that. I like you got your stream hosts out here getting engagement. First thing I noticed is just like a lot of top end, like very sibilant. Those hi-hats like killed me a little bit. So just check that. Some of the EQ on there just seems very high-end heavy. Check the YouTube So I really like the energy of everybody on the team. Like, I think you guys are doing a great job leading. It sounds like everybody's got their parts and nailing stuff down. Camera work, I would probably lean away from, especially on a fast song like this, doing those extended dissolves like this. It just doesn't match the pacing of the song to me. I do like that you got a shadow pretty prevalent on your lyrics, so they do pop out pretty good. They're good and bold. They still disappear a little bit there, here and there. It's not the end of the world. But you're doing them in the room too for that, so definitely make sure those lyrics are legible, because that's going to be everything your congregation is depending on, as well as live stream. I would be curious how big your room is. Like, if iMag is super necessary, it's tough to tell. I mean, it may be a pretty large space. A lot of these are tight shots because you're forced to do tight shots when you have iMag in the room and it's the same cut. Where me as an online viewer, like I'm kind of wanting to, hey, give me the space I'm living in, like cut to a wide shot there after the stream host to show me the space I'm living in. This drum cam, your Marshall, I think you said, I would probably look at upgrading that, or maybe whatever light is shining there on his snare, adjusting that. It's just kind of overexposed. I like that little shot of the pianist to cut to. Your pans across back and forth with your Panasonics, I think I probably would try not to do that. I forget what that's called, but it just kind of feels broadcasty old school to me, and there's always that struggle of like that gap when you're going between your frontline singers of how to cut, or like when to, should I pan faster between this person. I like your medium shot here with your LED backdrop. That looks really good. There you go. Let's turn it up a little bit here and listen again. Also, I don't know if it's just me, my right ear has more volume than my left ear. What about you guys?
Mercy in the morning sun. Hope when I'm hanging by a thread. Oh, every time I look, I read, I find your faithfulness again. The water in the wind.
Yeah, I just think your drums are, you don't want them taking up that high-end clarity location of your vocals as much. You know, I want to feel kicking the snare more than I want to like hear the top end sparkliness. I mean, you can have some in there, but don't overtake that clarity area for vocals and melody of instruments. So that might be something you can look into. I do like the motion and stuff you're trying to generate there with your different shots. Just maybe don't do extended dissolves. All right, that was Gateway Fellowship. Thank you for submitting, and check out those comments section and glean some tips and wisdom from them as well. All right, our next church is going to be 902 Church. Jamie, thank you for submitting. Jamie, let me know in the chat if you are there. 902 has some G70s from Canon, and then 2 XA35s, which are the camcorders from Canon, I believe, going into a Blackmagic Constellation 1ME. For audio, they are doing an M32C to a Mac Mini with Logic Pro using Waves plugins. Okay, so they've got some flexibility and things at hand there to be able to sweeten up their live stream. We'll see if that is being used well. The biggest pain point is quality control. So just looking for feedback on camera shots, and they're looking to implement a roamer in the weeks to come. You know, I love a good roaming cam. I feel like it's like the biggest bang for buck that you can do when investing in your live stream, just because like you're immediately given multiple different angles instead of just like, let's add a camera over there on the 45 degree. It just opens up so much. All right, so let's look at 902 Church. Here we go. Liking it. So I would try putting a camera down low on the front row and trying to capture a shot where I could get framed here on my worship pastor. He's going to stay right there because he's got a mic stand, and framing with this stained glass behind him to give some interesting backdrop texture if you can. That's just the idea. Hearing a lot of bass guitar. The band sounds really good. Vocals sound nice clarity there. I like where the drums are sitting. Is electric guitar in the tracks maybe? Do they have a lyric strip somewhere? Because there's no lyrics on that screen. Maybe there's lyrics above the screen? A little dark in the drum cage. Poor guy. Give the brother some light. It's a good shot. I like the LEDs behind him there, framing him. And thank you for its level. Sometimes we just forget to double check and make sure everything's level. The tripod didn't get knocked or something. Okay, that was weird. I mean, there was some copyright that came up. Hats for worship leaders. I mean, it's tough for lighting guys. Both the guys have hats. But luckily I can see his eyes. Maybe it's a short bill. So that's okay. You're capturing that, so that's good. Let's listen and see if we can hear audience. Hey, his acoustic sounds really nice. Maybe a little bit much on the verb, but I mean, I think it sounds good in the mix. Started his own tracks there at his feet. I wonder if he's using a loop dimus or air step. Let's go to preach. We always look at worship. What are you doing for preach here?
Of your worship, I even found an altar on which was inscribed to an unknown God. And so what would happen is these people would gather in the area.
I feel like I'm hearing room like reflection coming back into his mic maybe somehow.
And there was all these stones and wood carvings and different things, and they would
Delayed.
worship these idols. And just in case there's one that we're forgetting, we don't know who he is. We don't know anything about him, but we've got all these idols we're gonna worship. But just in case there's one out there, we've got this other stone just in case. It's kind of like, we've got this guitar, this piece of wood right here. We've got all these others, but just in case
got some
we're missing
shadows
one,
there, on right there. Maybe try to even that a little bit right there. A little bit more light that's even on him. Do we ever go to a close-up follow cam? Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that all of us can work on. If we're honest, I mean, the message is extremely important to our live streams. And even if our pastor has a TV or some teaching tool like this, we can probably push ourselves to, I feel like a lot of times we end worship and we're like, all right, put the cameras down. We're done. I'll just leave it on this wide shot the whole time. But as a viewer, you're probably just listening mostly, but we could probably push ourselves to utilize some of those other camera shots somehow. How can you reposition one of those cameras that you're using during worship to be a side shot or be a back shot? Like, as a viewer, this could be all pre-recorded. I'm not seeing anybody in the audience. So could you do like an over-the-shoulder shot from backstage where you're showing him preaching with the church there? Could you incorporate a slider shot to where it's adding some movement? And then obviously I would always like to have a tight follow, like a waist up tight follow if you can. That's just tracking him on a tripod. So those are some thoughts for you guys. Oh, let's go to this camera. We haven't been on this camera since we started. I took the time to set it up. I should go to it, but it's just a little GH5. Or my others are my S5 IIs. So, they're getting more love these days, y'all. I'm still a Micro Four Thirds fanboy, but the S5 IIs have been pretty sweet, So I'm excited to release a video on Monday that was shot entirely on the S5 IIs, and they performed great. The autofocus on these Panasonics, we've been using them in service with a 24-105, which is this guy right here. It's an f4, which I wish it was lower f-stop, but for that reach and everything, it looks really good. And then we've been running these with Vlog using the real-time LUT, so that way we're getting the most dynamic range possible. Where we used to run everything just in natural profile, now we're using, and I might try this on the GH5s as well. You have to pay for the Vlog upgrade on, I have it on a couple cameras, but not all of them. But the S5 IIs, it comes with it. And so I've been using the Stallman LUTs, and they, I feel like, bring back the right amount of color information and everything, and looks good in all the situations I've thrown at it. So you do have to bump up your ISO more when you're working in Vlog. And so the real-time LUT, though, like on your monitor, looks correct, which is nice. I mean, similar to how the Blackmagic Pocket 4Ks do it. So that's one of my hesitations with Vlog on the GH5s, is because I really try not to go above 800 ISO. And usually we're at 640 at 2.8 in our venue. And so if I bumped it to, if I had to go to like 1600, it's like, is it worth it at that point? Because now I got a noisier image with more dynamic range, but do we always need to see what's in the shadows? I'm just trying to protect skin tones and stuff. When you have an LED wall, you know, now you've got lots of varied brightness levels on stage and stuff. So, but yeah, I've been loving the S5 IIs. They're good value, and I've been able to trust the autofocus just as much as I was able to trust it with my Canon. The RP that I have has been relegated to photography, and it does a great job at that for our photographers on Sundays. So if you follow us on Insta or anything on Facebook, maybe, probably mostly Insta, you'll see some of that. So yeah. All right, let's look at another, let's look at our next one here. So I've got 30 left to go through. As I said, if you want to jump to the front, you can play the odds here and just say, hey, if Rylan gets to it, he gets to it. Probably going to do 3 more, unless some super chats come in. So, and I'm not begging for super chats. I mean, YouTube takes 60%, 40%. Maybe they take a big cut. I'd much rather y'all just buy the course and ask for feedback, or book a one-on-one Zoom call consult or something. If you want to ask me to review your live stream one-on-one, you can always do that too. All right, let's pull up Ecav Zelina from Philippe. Philippe, are you in the chat? They're using some Sony mirrorless cameras, Olympus mirrorless cameras. So getting those to match is a struggle sometimes. X32 and a post-fader mix bus with stereo enhancer. Been there, done that. I think we still actually have it on a little bit, maybe. And then the ATEM is doing the final compression and limiting. Limiter is set at -2.5. Okay. Let me get this pulled up over here. Love it when it does that. All right, here we go. Okay, I mean, one thing I really do like is that it seems like this is just a singing church. Like, they've got organ, more liturgical maybe, but we can hear it, you know? Like, it sounds live. It's not like some studio recording. And I'm cool with that. Like, it's a live stream. It should sound live. So let's listen, watch a little bit more. Okay. that guy up there with the gimbal. Let's go, baby. Y'all be like, my church doesn't want cameramen around. That's a great looking shot. That Sony looks really good. I like that you didn't, like last time you hung on just the people singing. This time you kind of went to elements. Like, okay, here's some candles. Here's stained glass. Because it looks like you don't have like a worship leader. I mean, this is kind of neat. It makes me feel like I'm there. And if they are used to this in your culture of you walking up and down the aisles, shooting on your gimbal, then that's cool, right? As long as I don't ever want to like distract my people that are in the room from worshiping. Like, that's my fear of like getting a camera in somebody's face and now I'm discouraging them from engaging in worship because they're worried about like being on camera. So balancing that, you know, is a real thing. Let's see. I mean, I like that you got the wide shot that you can go to. Obviously, it doesn't match your other stuff, but that's okay. These shots look really good, though. I don't know what lenses you're using. Yeah, it doesn't say. That's okay, though. Give some looking room there. Put him on the right third if I were you. That's framed really nice right there. Maybe a little overexposed. Yeah, I mean, the color balance looks really good. This one obviously is a tougher. Got the audio dialed back in there. Hey, looky there. That's cool. See, okay, so they're preaching now. We're going to call this preach. Instead of just a single camera, they're still... Wait, was this on the TVs? Okay. I would say I don't think you probably need the feed, the iMag in this room based on how big it is. I like how you're still doing some extra stuff here with camera work and different shots, and looks like he's doing an illustration here. But to me, her being on that TV, I just can't believe that it's really helping that much in the room, because the TVs are not that big. If the person is not bigger on the screen than they are in the room in person, then I wouldn't do it. It's image magnification, you know, is the point. So there was a little shot there down the side that I thought was good. Anyways, I think you're doing really well in this setting. I like this setup. We're doing the same thing. This is we noticed that, like, if our pastor has an image he's talking about, like of Jerusalem, we didn't have a super source setup where we could see him and the image. So we did that this last week, and we're going to try that this Sunday. He's reading like a children's book. So we're going to show the pages on screen while he's cropped there. So great job on that. I like that. That was a lot of scripture to try and pack on the screen. So yeah, some good thoughts here in the comments. Very, very cool. But hold the phone, because
Thank you.
Joshua Chilton in the house with the first super chat of the day. Let's go, baby. Josh, you're such a good dude. Let's see if I can find you on here, Frisco. Let's go to churches. There we are. Found you. All right. They've got the Ross Carbonite Ultra, 3 tripods with the Panasonic AG CX350s, couple of mobile GH5s, 3 static GH5s. Yes, sir. Looking for help with just adding motion, energy. The audio is coming from a Midas Pro 2 at front of house, aux-fed stream with house mics added in there. So let me pull up Frisco Bible's live stream over here and pop over to it. Hey, you got your intro going. We were talking about this. I like it.
Good morning, Frisco Bible Church. We're so happy you're here at this time.
All right, so Josh, what I would do if I were you is the point for me of, like, our intro is very similar where we have those just rhythmic drum stuff. The point for me of doing that is that there's no melodic instrumentation to that opener, and then it allows me and the band to begin to kind of pad in the right key. So the countdown ends, that starts, and then as those kind of percussive stuff starts, we can start creeping in the right key and begin to kind of shimmer a little bit. So that way, as that ends, it's like boom, 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 and you're like shimmering in the key of C. And now I'm saying like, hey, Frisco Bible, welcome to church. Why don't you go and stand with me? And then now we start our tracks, if that makes sense. Now, what may have happened right there is that they started the tracks right out of it, and she was kind of just talking during that intro, 2, 3, 4. You guys use tracks, right?
Good morning, Frisco Bible Church. We're so happy you're here. At this time, I invite you to stand and worship our God with us. There's just something about him, fills my heart with joy. There's just something about his name.
I like the clacks there. You using like a
Only
SPDSX?
one I worship, only one I adore, only one my heart will praise. There's just something about his name. Jesus, lift up Jesus, sing the name that overcomes.
See, I like this angle of drum shot a lot more than the other ones we've been seeing, because now we can kind of see the worship team. It's like looking over the shoulder. I can still see him hitting the toms and snares, cymbals, and everything. I like that shot much more if you don't have a roamer on stage to be able to do different things with the drum shots. I like this one. Good job. No tracks. Okay.
He's a river of mercy. He's the fountain of life. All my sins
Downstream
are
keyers doing
washed away. He's the reason I'm singing. He's my song in the night. He's been faithful all my days.
I would say I think the 3 lines of lyrics becomes a little much. Maybe you could just lower the line spacing if you need to do 3. They do kind of start disappearing a little bit on some of those brighter areas. So it might be worth looking into a different theme for your lyrics. Maybe even just adding the line background to that lyric theme, if that makes sense. If you know what I'm talking about within Pro Presenter, like where it's not like the whole line. I don't like that, but where it adjusts based on the text width. And it's probably mirroring what's in room, I assume. So if it's dependent on that, hey, that looks really nice. Lighting wise, I love the backlight there with the gobos coming down, but yet key light on everybody's faces still looks really good. Personally, I'm trying to move our church a little bit more towards a brighter, not brighter, but where on camera, like in room, I guess brighter. It feels like the audience is less of the like black silhouettes and more lit. And so I think that for us to achieve that on camera, it's going to have to be some like backlighting coming towards them. If that, is something you're interested in. There you go. That's a nice shot. What is that, the 35 to 100 or? Got the floating clouds. Very cool. I like the movement there. I don't know why my HDMI output is like adding these weird little artifacts to y'all's that output. It's not there. Unless it's just my TV. I'm gonna look on my phone and see if it's doing it. Yeah, it's doing it. So it's just my HDMI. I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe the adapter, the anchor adapter. Right? Is that the one? No? That's HDMI straight. It's just going HDMI out of my MacBook into my ATEM. It's gonna bug me. Sorry, Josh. I'm not paying attention here. I like that you went to instrumentalists. Like, okay, end of song. Singers are done. Don't just sit on the singer. There you go. I would try to go those drums there. Now popping over to your other instrumentalists for the outro. Definitely a pet peeve of mine. Good job.
Let's pray. Lord, your name is worthy of praise. We lift you up.
I mean, I like the abrupt stop thing. It feels awkward on live stream. I wonder how it felt in the room. It's like you had all this great energy, and then it's like, let's pray.
Let's pray. Lord, your name is
I like the way you use lighting to make that translate, though. It was like you knew it was going to be a transition there coming down, and so you used lights to kind of help with that transition. That was cool. All right, so now we're kind of going into this next song. I rarely do the hard cuts unless I'm going to be like, hey, celebrate with me. Like, our God is good. Like, get the church to agree with what we've been singing. So there's not just that, like, dead silence. Usually I'll just go ahead and crash out the ending. I like this kind of slow pull out here during this prayer time. Whoops.
Show your light and goodness to those around us through our actions, through our words, through our character, all for your glory. Lord, and I thank you and we praise you for providing for us and for letting us know that you always have a plan and giving us the peace that no matter what happens today, no matter what happens tomorrow, you are in control and everything will work out for your good.
Saturation looks much higher than the original. I wonder what is going on with that. Let me go to my... It won't let me pull it over there, will it? I'm gonna look here at my screens.
Do you feel the world is broken? Do you feel the shadows deepen?
It's the same color profile. I always use the BMD HDMI, Blackmagic HDMI. I like that shot, seeing the congregation over the top of the pianist. That's cool. I don't even know what color profile to use. Maybe a Rec 709. It's probably going to screw this up, isn't it? Sorry, I'm tweaking things here.
Is anyone home? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll?
Okay.
The Lion of Judah.
Audio-wise, though, dude, I think it's sounding really good.
He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. Is he worthy? Is he worthy?
Team is playing really well. No tracks. Very nice.
Is he worthy of this?
Yeah, you got a lot of house lights going on out there. So it shouldn't be that dark on camera. There you go. See a little bit of it. I feel like if your church is a singing church, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I want to hear that a little bit more, especially on a chill song like this, just a little bit more of the room somehow. Let's go like the end. Could you put that piano one on a slider, Josh? I feel like that would even make that more dynamic. If you do use my affiliate link, okay? Because I just feel like that parallaxing around her would add a lot. I would use the Top Rig S60. Is that the one that I've been liking? It's not as big as the GVMs. It's the one that I was using vertically on the bass. I have a video on my channel. If you look for vertical slider, it's silent, it's small, it's inconspicuous. We've been using it on our drums at an angle. I'm always backwards on this thing. And I feel like it's been working well for that. Let me see if I can find it. Doodly-doo-doo-doo. Josh, if you got any specific questions, just let me know. Like, let me see if there's any drum shots here.
Rejoice and be glad, rejoice and be glad in it. This is.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably go even faster for that.
The joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah, so I feel like a slider could help you there and give a little bit more movement. And you were talking about getting more movement. I mean, that's one way we've done it for sure, is just incorporating those sliders and stuff. Oh, he says I've gone through 3 GVM sliders, can't keep them working. That's weird. Ours, all the ones I bought have still been golden. I wonder if power supply is doing something to them. But yeah, I like that smaller one that we were using vertically. It's really good. So it's still artifacting. I forget whose it was that had that on there. I don't know. Probably shouldn't try and fix it on the live stream while I'm live. How does the tech guy get the worship leaders to catch this vision of energy and transitions? Yeah, I think what can be helpful is, I don't know how long, your worship guy has been there. Shout out to guys that have been there a long time, like me, 15 years. What I've noticed is that even when you think you're self-aware, you're probably not aware enough. And so what has been helpful is just like asking for feedback from outside people that you trust. We've even hired consultants like the Unstuck group to come and give us feedback of that like secret shopper thing, and then they can speak to some of that, like, hey, there was some awkwardness during this, or you know, that worship leader that you have in town that stops by on a Sunday, you can ask them about things like that. But as the tech guy, I think you just have to have that trust, that credibility and social capital that you guys are on the same team and you all want the same thing. And that might even be just asking good questions of like, hey, I want to make sure that things are translating well online and in the room. So if you can walk me through kind of what you're thinking for transitions out of these different elements so I can be prepared for that. Just even asking that question of like, what are you thinking as far as transitions, might get your worship team to understand like, oh, I haven't thought really about how I'm getting between those things. So I don't know if you guys have a meeting where you evaluate. So like for us, every Monday, we have a meeting where we have a sheet of questions where we go through and we evaluate. Because it was like we were evaluating, but it was like we're just making up if this was a good Sunday or not. So we started asking specific questions like, was there anything distracting? Was there any tech issues? And so like certain things, and maybe I could share that list with you guys at some point, that we came up with. And one of them could be, were transitions well thought out, and did they go as planned? You can only control what you can control, but you know, evaluating, having open feedback loops and things like that is important. Yeah, and I'm looking through the comments here, Flannel and I. Yeah, for sure. Just because it's kind of like something we think is important may not be the other leadership's, you know, top of list. They may be like, I'm totally cool with this. Like, I actually want it to feel awkward. And that's okay. Like, I don't want it to be overly produced. I want it to feel, I want it to have some silence or stuff. But in my opinion, I think you can do that with intentionality where it's, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles. I've been on this now for 2 hours. All right. Let's see. It is after 12, y'all. Let's see if I got, let's see. How about Esperanca Church? Jonathan, are you in the live stream? They're using Sony a6000s and OBS and an X32 for audio. Let me pull up their stream here. And 4 days ago. So I just am noticing like sometimes you're hitting mix on the dissolve, sometimes you're cutting. So I'm not understanding, especially on an up-tempo song like this, why. Like we're doing a long dissolve now. That feels weird. And then thank you for lighting your drummer well. than a cut. I like how well lit everyone is. Skin tones look good. I wish I could see more of the room. Everything's real tight. Here's a little shot of the room, a little bit. So I just don't know. Maybe back in the earlier... No, it looks like it goes straight into that kind of medium shot. So it might be important to throw a wide shot in there every once in a while. I like to start our songs with a wide shot. Audio-wise, it sounds pretty good. Maybe a little vocal prominent, and maybe just, I don't know, needs a little more. When they're speaking, maybe a little much verb, but when they were singing, I thought maybe a little, not enough verb. And now instruments are way out in front. So there you go, you're getting it back. I mean, hey, your band is good. Yeah, I'm just not loving the long dissolves, especially for these up-tempo songs. Mixed with cuts, it just feels odd to me. Also, what do y'all think? Lyrics at top, lyrics at bottom? I'm a lyrics at the bottom guy. I don't know, it just feels right to me because it's like where captions always are and everything. It feels odd to me for it to be at the top. I think these ladies are doing a great job showing the joy of the Lord on their face. I would say your band, your instrumentalists, even your other singers could lean into that a little more. Getting it. Don't love the snare sound. In the description, there's a link in the description, but there's like 25 other people in front of me. Alrighty. Hopefully those thoughts help you out a little bit. Well, fellas, it's been a long stream. There's still 20 of you on there. So thank you for those of you who have stuck around this long. I think it's lunchtime, don't y'all? That's probably where most of y'all went. Had a great stream, though, with Steven. Appreciate him giving his time. And if you guys enjoy these live streams, do me a favor and hit the like button right now if you made it this far. If you haven't liked it, go ahead and like it. There's 27 that have liked it, so maybe you already have. I'm a kind of a one-man band here as of now. Next month, though, I'm still going to be a one-man band. But I'm excited because we've got Cade Young from Collaborate Worship that will be here in the office for some live stream reviews. Really appreciate Dylan and Cade over at Collaborate Worship and all that they do for our church tech community. And looking forward to having him on the live stream. There's also some upcoming possibilities of opportunities for maybe some giveaways on the live stream. And just looking for ways to make it even better for you guys. I just want our live streams to feel like we're just a family, you know, and that you can, we can just talk. We can commiserate a little bit. So anyways, it's been a fun live stream, all 2 hours and 12 minutes of it. I think it's time to call it a day. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I hope that you have great weekends. I hope that your Sunday services are awesome, that God moves in a mighty way. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Later.